What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. We're going to be talking about Annabelle creation. Now, I remember when this movie first came out, I was moderately excited for it. We were coming off the heels of the first Annabelle, which was a huge disappointment and a huge missed opportunity that I really didn't want them to do anything outside of this universe without the touch of James Wan. Even though he was producing the first Annabelle film, it feels like whenever James Wan isn't in the director's chair, the films don't come out as good as they should. But this movie is directed by David F. Sandberg, and he was coming hot off the heels of his first film, Lights Out, which was based on a short film that he did with his wife. And that short film got a lot of attention that they decided to give him his very first film, and he knocked it out of the park. Since James Wan was a producer on that film, he tapped David F. Sandberg, but he didn't want to be tied to this universe where he had to fit a lot of in-universe references. Then he found out that it was going to be a prequel to the prequel, so he was basically given free reign to do whatever he wanted, and boy did he really surprise me. The film follows a family that are going through a tragedy, and then 12 years later, they welcome a nun and 6 orphan girls to their little farmhouse. He then tells them that there are 2 doors in this house that are off limits to them, one of them being his daughter's bedroom and the other being his wife's bedroom, because they're going through a lot of tragedy and so they really want to be kept alone. Then one of the girls manages to sneak into B's bedroom, where she finds a doll locked inside a closet, and after she plays in the room, she is haunted by an evil force, thus beginning a new haunted house film. Starting off with the positives for this movie, I really like the tone that David F. Sandberg really played with this, because it is a one location place in the middle of nowhere, so your imagination can really just run around and do whatever it wants it to do. And since he really wasn't constrained to a lot of the in-universe Conjuring references, this is a perfect standalone prequel where you didn't need to watch the first Annabelle film or the 2 Conjuring movies before this movie going into it. If you were new to this franchise, you were able to follow along just fine and then go into the other films and see if those films interest you. David F. Sandberg knows how to really create some wonderful tension and build up the suspense. That's what I really was missing from the first Annabelle film. The first Annabelle film, while it had a creepy aesthetic, it never really built up the suspense. It was just a bunch of loud bang jump scares. With Annabelle creation, they were able to draw out the suspense and make you wait for it. It does feel like this movie is more connected into the first 2 Conjuring films, where those films really leaned more into building up the tension and building up the scares, that when the payoff happens, it really actually got you. And even though there aren't a lot of jump scares, there are a couple here and there that really got me. It's really mostly played on its tension and how you built that tension up. It's what I really enjoy when it comes to these horror films. It's not just about the loud bangs, jump scares, or the false jump scares. It's more about building that tension up and how you're able to play with the audience with that tension and make them suspect something else is going to happen, and it just pulls out the rug from under you and it just plays with your expectations. That's what I really enjoyed about this film in particular, is the fact that it does build those jump scares. It does make you wait for it, and this movie is the perfect combination of both jump scares and story. Because while you have 2 different stories coming in here, you have the Mullins family who are going through a loss, and so they make a deal in order for them to have their daughter's spirits back. But if you know the rules of horror films, they don't really get what they bargained for, and so they invite in a demonic spirit in here, and that is what's kind of plaguing them. But they don't really want the nun and the orphan girls to know what's going on, until it's later discovered that there is something going on when one of the girls has an accident after the entity just drops her from the ceiling. So you have that story going on. Then you also have the other story with the nun and the girls, which I thought was a little bit more compelling, because you have these girls that are basically out in the middle of nowhere, and so when creepy things happen, they really don't have anybody else to call or anywhere else to run. So you're basically confined into this one space. Even though 2 of the orphan girls get a little bit more of the attention rather than the other 4, which to me were a little bit useless, it still created some fun tension, and I thought the performances from everybody were great. Some of the jump scares are fine, and I really enjoy the fact that they are able to build up that tension and have some genuinely fun jump scares. And I'm glad that a lot of the jump scares weren't in the trailer, because there are some surprises in here that I was really shocked to find out. The cinematography is absolutely fantastic, from the outskirts shots to the creepiness of this temporary foster home. There are some wonderful shots that I really love and appreciate a little bit more on a second rewatch. And for me personally, it still holds up, mostly because of how they handled the characters and how they get you invested in these characters. And really, the two performances that carry this film are from Lulu Wilson, who plays Linda, and Thalia Bateman, who plays Janice, who finds the creepy doll. Their sisterly chemistry together is what I really enjoyed about this movie. Is the fact that they stick with each other when they first get to this temporary orphanage place. They make a deal where if one of them gets adopted, both of them get adopted, and if they don't want both of them, then they are not going to be separated. So there was that sisterly bond that I really enjoyed about this movie. But you also have that protective side of Linda, because Janice is on the fence. She doesn't really want to be treated differently. She just wants to be seen as a person. So when Linda starts to diverge a little bit and kind of starts giving her some sympathy because she's not able to go outside and play, then she gets the okay from Janice to go out and play. There were small moments like that that made this movie feel a little bit more wholesome. And that's something that I really enjoy. Whenever you're going into a horror film, you do really want just to be scared and find some creative jump scares in there. But whenever you're able to mix in both story, character, and the horror of it all, that's when you're cooking something very special. And I think that is what makes me really appreciate this movie a little bit more. It is a little bit slower in the second act when Janice is a little bit hospitalized after her fall. It is a little bit slower and it does lose your attention a little bit, but it speeds back up in the third act, leading us into a fine little segue where it connects this prequel to the first Annabelle in the opening film, where you have the cultists going into the neighbor's house, and then you find out it's Annabelle killing her parents. And so there are some creepy things in here, and I dug what they did with the Annabelle doll in here, where it is a little bit more creepy because of the spirit. And whenever the spirit shows up, I thought the effects were great, even though sometimes it was mostly at night whenever you were able to see this demon. But other than that, I really enjoyed just how much fun this movie was for what it is. It's not reaching the heights of the first two Conjuring films, but for what this movie was and what I really wanted this movie to do, which was be good, it was what the first film was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a creepy little film in an isolated area with fun jump scares, which is something that I didn't get from the first film. In this film, I got plenty of that, and I just really enjoyed seeing the characters in here and just seeing a really nice story. It didn't need to be one of the greatest stories of all time, but just the way that they are able to play with it, it worked pretty well for me. But those are my thoughts on Annabelle Creation. Let me know down in the comments if this is a movie that you really enjoy or if it's one that should have been a little bit better. Drop those thoughts in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys for the next video.